Hello and welcome to Living Well, your show for information and inspiration to improve your health and wellness. My name is Karen Fabian and I am your host, and thank you so much for watching. We've got an interesting show for you today. We're going to start out talking to Nicole Rand, and Nicole is going to share her personal story of her challenge fighting addiction. And we're then going to bring on Stephanie Troy, and Stephanie is a licensed social worker and also a yoga teacher, and she'll be sharing with us some of her work with people with addictions, both in the context of using yoga as a healing tool and also her work with them one-on-one. And then we're going to be switching gears and we'll meet Abby Gray. And Abby owns a personal chef company called Cooking with Abby, and she does cooking classes in her home, and she'll actually be showing us something healthy to cook. So I'm looking forward to what I'm going to be making hopefully for dinner tonight for myself. If you're watching the show on the Boston Neighborhood Network, thank you so much for watching. After every show, I post the shows on my YouTube channel, Bare Bones Yoga, and you can catch earlier episodes there. I'd also encourage you to tweet using the hashtag LivingWellBNN, give us any feedback about the show or even suggestions you have for future show segments. I'd like to thank the show's major sponsor, Yoga Reaches Out, which is a wonderful nonprofit that uses yoga events, including one here coming up at Gillette Stadium, to raise money for children's charities. And you can visit their website at yogareachesout.org to find out how to get involved. And lastly, my friends Deborah and John at Zumi's Coffee in Charlestown, 221 Main Street, for delicious breakfast and lunch. They're a big supporter and sponsor of the show. So let's get started. Nicole, hi.
Hi, Karen.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and
Pleasure.
Taking the time and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So just to give kind of folks a sense of your background, Nicole is a local wellness professional with experience both as a yoga teacher, a competitive runner, and a Peloton professional. She is here to share her personal story about her addiction to alcohol. And I want to, again, thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, you know, kind of diving right in,
Right.
and I don't want to kind of dive into the heaviness of it all, but
okay.
This concept, I think for viewers who are watching, who to help them understand a little bit about this experience, give us a sense of when you began drinking, did you feel that it was going to be a problem for you?
No, I didn't. When my first drink was later in life. It was probably sometime in high school. If you do speak to other alcoholics, it was usually very early. I didn't see drinking when I was growing up. My parents were not alcoholics. Turns out my grandmother was. However, I never saw her drink. Yeah. So I had my first drink, I think, sometime in high school. I didn't really get drunk until college, and even after that, I didn't really start to drink on a social level until I was legal, until I was 21. No, I didn't think it was going to be a problem. I knew I liked how alcohol made me feel. I knew I felt better and, you know, more confident and more like this person I was supposed to be when I drank. But I didn't see it as a potential problem. That came later. It's a very progressive disease. It kind of creeps up on you. And that's what happened to me.
And were there certain signs in just your kind of daily life that you felt were red flags that this is becoming a problem?
Yes, you know, especially one of it's a kind of a popular one, but the drinking alone thing, where you have an issue or any feeling or emotion that comes up that you just don't want to deal with,
right.
There's a need to escape it. And when alcohol worked at night for me, when I was out with my friends, so why wouldn't it work when I was alone? Whether I got bad news, whether I got good news, any emotion that was overwhelming, I needed to control. And alcohol worked, and it worked until it didn't work, but it started to creep up on me in my mid-20s when I noticed that I wasn't drinking like other people.
Right.
I wanted to drink more. I wanted to drink before I went out. I wanted to drink during I was out, and I wanted then to go home and drink like I really wanted to drink.
Right. Now, did you come to a point in your life where you stopped completely?
Yes.
And then did you continue with that, or did you have a time where you went back to it?
Right. Well, when I was, my husband passed away when I was 32, and the drinking really picked up after that. A lot of just bad things were involved with his death.
Sure.
And I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know what to do. So of course, drinking seemed to be the go-to. After a couple of what we call jackpots, some things that would make most normal people stop drinking, I continued to drink. And one day I looked at myself in the mirror and realized I couldn't do it on my own. So that's when I asked for help, and I got it. And I was sober for 4.5 years, and I stopped working my program, which is, a very spiritual and helpful way to actually get through things. And so when something happened in my life that had to do with a relationship, I didn't have that first defense against a drink, so I did pick up again. And I continued for a couple of months, and then that ended as well. And I've been sober now for 6 months.
Got it. Now, when you say the program, I mean, I'm assuming that's one of the resources that you use. Tell us a little bit about some of what you use to support yourself.
I do go to AA meetings, which I love. Not everybody does that. I do suggest it as a way if you really want to stop drinking.
Right.
If you want to stop and you can't stop, it's the best place, I think, to turn. Really just asking for help is the biggest thing, which many of us don't want to do. We really think we got this in life.
It's like a sign of I'm failing in
Of
some
course,
way.
of course. And especially as women, we really want to let people know that we've got this. I didn't have it, so I did ask for help. And I do that. I go to a meeting every day. I have a sponsor who I speak to, and it's just a great way to get out what we're feeling, things that we normally wouldn't tell, maybe even a friend, something that's just a way to release this icky feeling. Let me get it out there. Let me talk to someone who's going to understand and not going to judge me. So that's one of my go-to, my main go-to thing. The other is a very active lifestyle. I really need to always be on the move, and not so much, I am learning balance in that as well. We don't want to get injured and then really have to stop everything. But as you said, I'm a competitive runner, and that's kind of my main focus right now. And I love it. It's a natural endorphin high. It really helps with that serotonin. A lot of people who are recovering from addiction turn to exercise and any other kind of movement, yoga, anything to really kind of even things out. And a lot of us are also very type A.
Yeah.
So we like to move forward. And, so the running, yoga, cycling, all of that
has been a help.
Oh, it's just such a relief.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a brief break, and then we're going to bring out Stephanie with us, and we're going to talk a little bit further on this subject.
Terrific.
Stay tuned.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. We're going to meet Stephanie Troy. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Stephanie is a licensed social worker and a registered yoga teacher, as well as a nutrition coach and a Reiki 2 practitioner. Her yoga project is called Soba Yoga and was born from her career spanning over 17 years in the area of addictions and trauma. She is grateful to be able to share with others the transformative and healing effects of yoga, and her blog is yourwholehealing.com. So welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sure thing. So I wanted to start out, and we have Nicole here as well to kind of, round out our conversation, just with a little bit about your experience in working with addictions. What are some of the things that you find the folks that you're dealing with in one-on-one sessions are facing?
Well, I've been working as an outpatient therapist for over 13 years. Now I'm working in private practice, and I had worked in Boston area hospitals doing addictions work. And I think that one of the challenges that comes up for people is learning how to manage life without substances.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is a big challenge, given the fact that pretty much the general public is managing their life with substances on some varying level. And it's very much encouraged with the amount of pressure and stress that the average American is under nowadays, that really in our society we're very much encouraged to try to stay glued together somehow. So people are doing that through alcohol, through pot, through other drugs, through shopping and eating and a variety of different things. And so it's just that that for people with addictions, it just happened to spin out of control for a variety of different reasons. Some could be biological, some could be, based in their past with trauma. And so I think the biggest challenge for people is that they're working on doing something that the average American is not, actually. And so that can be a hard thing, kind of learning how to live in a culture where distraction is a big part of it. Yeah.
Now, when we were talking with Nicole, you were talking about running and exercise and AA being part of what you use. What kinds of tools are you finding are helpful for folks, maybe in addition to these things?
Well, I think yoga and meditation, balancing kind of the concept of staying busy with actually slowing down and learning how to sit with oneself and sitting with emotion. And that can be really challenging when you have had a lifelong history or a long history of distracting yourself away from what's going on inside, which is, again, sort of what's happening for most of us. We're not living in a contemplative society. So, so I think that that there needs to be an amount of being able to just be and sit with what's happening. So meditation, mindfulness, yoga,
are good tools
really
in that regard.
Yeah.
And that kind of speaks to when you were talking about being type A. I think that mindset and approach to living
so
is similar to that.
I'm actually also quite type A. I call myself, so when people ask if I'm in recovery, I always say I'm in recovery from life and that I'm a type A person in recovery. And so I think that, that for myself, what it was really a process of learning how to slow down and be. And I take that, all of the work that I've done on myself, I take into my practice and use with people. So.
Now, let me ask you, recently I heard a conversation about addiction in the popular media, especially in regards to a lot of the focus here in Massachusetts about opioid abuse and this idea that people can just kind of get over it. I mean, do you feel that that's something out there or pressure that people you work with are dealing with, this perception that you kind of think yourself out of being addicted to something, whatever it is?
I don't think that that's the case because not so much just about addiction, but I think it's really not the case for any of us, that we really need to learn how to deal with actually what's happening inside of us rather than just trying to get over it. There really is no getting over, getting under healing. You have to move through it. And in order to move towards transformation. And I think that, most people are trying to skirt around, their issues, just because we have so much pressure on us to produce, to keep going, to move forward, especially here in Boston. It's a very intense area of the country. And so I think that, it's really hard. The concept of being contemplative, of slowing down, of feeling one's emotions and sitting with what is, can be really overwhelming because then you get to learn about what you've been distracting yourself from. And that also, from that point forward, sometimes that might mean making changes that are very uncomfortable, whether it's, shifts in your career, shifts in your partnership, issues around children, a variety of different things. So I think that it really is about learning how to move through.
Right. Have you found that that's been part of your journey as you've been?
Yeah, well, that's every time I deal with recovery or I go and ask for help, it's absolutely true that you need, one of my favorite sayings, actually, I heard Steven Tyler say it recently, who's in recovery, is the only way out is through. And I remind myself of that every day, that this is, you do need to sit with your emotion and learn how to be with emotion in order to have freedom. Really, to have freedom and to enjoy a new kind of happiness that you didn't know existed. And there's no way around it. We kind of spend our lives avoiding dealing with some of the tougher issues. So if we actually see it and learn to cope, there's definitely a happiness on that other side.
I think the challenge for a lot of people with addictions is that it usually just switches around to something else. So it will move from their substance of choice to a different substance, to sex, to food. to caffeine, which
Right.
is everyone's addiction nowadays.
Right.
So, it just moves until it doesn't.
Right.
Until people get real and slow down and decide that they need to deal. So
Now, what about, I had mentioned earlier, we talked beforehand about your Soba Yoga program. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about that.
yes, so Soba Yoga was started in September of 2014, and it was created because there really isn't any integrative health or holistic health modalities of treatment here in Boston. It's something that's more available on the West Coast, but not something here in Boston. And there are aspects of mindfulness that are available in clinics, but a lot of what I do around yoga and nutrition and all of that is not really being provided in the different clinics in Boston. So I decided to create a project that would start with the yoga to create a community, and then from there move into doing groups and workshops and programs to provide services that are focused on holistic health and helping people really get to the deeper levels of healing.
That's excellent.
So,
And
yeah.
how do people find your program? Through your website?
Through my website at yourwholehealing.com, and the Armory, Arts at the Armory on
great.
191
Somerville.
Highland Ave in Somerville
Got it.
on Friday nights at 6:30.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much
thank you so
for
much.
coming on the
Yeah.
show and sharing this information.
Yes.
And Nicole, again, thank you so much for joining us as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Sure. Stay tuned, everyone. We're going to have a cooking demonstration next. Hi, and welcome back. We're here with Abby Gray. Hi.
Hi.
Abby is the founder of Cooking with Abby.
Yes.
And she lives on the South Shore, and she hosts cooking classes both in her own home and in other people's homes as well. So you're going to be walking us through how to cook something delicious
Yes.
and healthy. So let's go.
Okay. Well, Karen and I were talking about how we think it's important to make a healthy meal for your family or yourself. And I think it's really easy to do this.
Okay.
Even if you're working.
Okay.
Okay. The key is what you do in culinary school, and after many years, I finally went to culinary school because I wanted to be a little bit sharper. I wanted to really up my game. But you mise en place everything out for every recipe. So if you get used to doing that,
What does that mean, the mise en place?
It means you make the ingredients you mise out, you put the ingredients out.
Measure,
measure.
pre-measure.
Sorry.
Okay,
I'm like
got it.
in
I'm
French.
trying to
Thinking in
translate in
English,
French.
you measure everything out.
Okay.
So you basically take your recipe. You get all of your ingredients out on the counter, and you measure everything out according to the recipe, if you're using a recipe. And then you have everything. First of all, you know when you have to substitute. And there's lots of substitutions for things nowadays.
Okay.
You can just Google, and you can do this the night before too. So if you're thinking, oh, I've got a really busy day after work tomorrow, I'm not going to be able to cook, you can cook.
Great.
So I just want to show you how easy this is.
Okay.
So. We are making sriracha shrimp and broccoli.
Oh, great.
You can always add more veggies. And basically, it's 4 tablespoons. It is 4 tablespoons of low sodium.
Okay.
Okay. And we always mark everything because some ingredients look very similar to each
Okay.
other. Okay. This is ginger, not ginger. This is
Garlic?
garlic. Thank
Okay.
you. 5
I can smell.
tablespoons of garlic.
Good. Good for the heart.
This is cornstarch.
Okay, a little
Okay,
thickener.
a little thickener,
Okay.
yeah. So it makes that brown sauce creamy-ish.
Okay.
looking.
I always
Ginger.
forget that. That's a good thing to add in just to make a little bit more consistency.
It is, and you
Yeah.
just need a teaspoon of it.
Okay.
You know, you don't usually need very much. This is garlic. This is fresh garlic, and I also put some concentrated garlic. Ginger. I'm mixing ginger and garlic up. I also put some concentrated ginger in there just because ginger is very good for you as well. It's
Yeah.
very great for your joints. It's
Yep.
great for swelling.
Digestion.
Ginger tea, etc.
Okay.
If you can throw ginger in your recipes, you should. Kind of
Great.
like turmeric.
Yeah.
Sriracha sauce. So if you don't have fans who are big folks with heat, You can
cut that out or
can-
cut back.
Well, cut back. Don't
Okay.
cut it out because it's
Okay.
actually that's good for you too. And then a tablespoon of brown sugar, and
Okay.
that makes it a little bit sweet and gives it that thickness that you like.
Great.
All right, so we're gonna turn this on.
Okay. Excellent.
It's gonna work. Yes, we always worry on
Yeah.
TV that these things won't work.
That's
We're gonna
right.
let this get hot.
I'm going to move the paper away from the flame.
Okay. I'm going to just whisk this together.
Okay. And the whisk is what you would
And the
suggest
whisk,
for that.
yeah, you just use a small bowl and a whisk.
Okay.
A whisk is great for lots of things, even when you're if you're doing dry ingredients, because
Okay.
it really mixes usually sugar and flour and
Okay.
salt and things through. Okay. Another thing, which they don't necessarily have, but I always add a little salt.
Yep.
And salt really brings out the flavor in food. I know people have decided that sometimes they don't like to cook with it, but you really should, because that's why when you go to a restaurant, things taste good. And
what's
unless,
this?
oh, this is sesame oil
Okay.
we're adding.
Versus olive oil or some other kind.
Well, it calls for sesame oil because you want the taste of sesame
Yep.
oil. Sesame oil also takes high heat a lot better.
Okay.
Olive oil's fine, but if you're really searing something and you really want to sear on it, like scallops or shrimp, and you weren't making this dish, you want to use vegetable oil.
Got it.
Because vegetable oil can go really high as well. All right, so we've got a nice flame on those.
Okay.
I'm going to have you turn these. I'll put them in.
Great.
I'm not going to use the whole amount. If you were making this recipe as we gave it to you in the station, you would use 2 pounds of shrimp. It's really great for a family. I bought it. I don't always do this because I love to clean shrimp. It just gives me a good feeling that I know it's clean.
Sure.
But I bought it peeled and deveined, and
Okay.
so it just makes it easier if you're coming home to cook dinner.
Yep.
Okay, so
Great.
we're gonna.
So it's pretty high heat to kind of.
It's pretty high heat. You want that sear.
Yep.
Shrimp cooks very quickly. I'm
Yep.
gonna give you these, and we're
Yeah.
gonna wait like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Shrimp cooks very quickly, so you can usually 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes
Right.
each side.
Could you do this with tofu instead? If
You
someone
could.
doesn't eat meat
If
or
you could,
fish?
yeah.
Yeah. Could you do it with chicken or?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
You could do it with chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do, the great thing about cooking, and you know what, I was lucky enough to learn from Jacques Pepin when I went to culinary
Oh,
school.
nice.
Yeah, and he was on PBS, and he was one of my favorite chefs growing up. Amazing master chef. And he would say, you know, you can use anything in your kitchen. And so he would really use any single ingredient. So
Okay.
yeah, it's your interpretation of the recipe.
Got it.
But if you want something to taste like you've read about and you want it to be authentic, then you should use those ingredients.
Got
if
it.
you're not, if you're a pescatarian or you're a vegetarian and you want to use tofu, there are so many recipes out there now where tofu is incorporated.
Sure. All right, so those look
Some
good.
things you're not sure how it's going to break down.
Right.
Okay.
That looks fab.
All right.
That looks great.
So then we're just going to add some broccoli.
Okay.
Okay. This is, you could add fresh. This is just flash frozen.
Okay.
Very good organic broccoli. No secret there. I'm not going to add as much as it calls for. It wants 2 cups, so this is probably a cup.
Wow.
But again, we're just trying to make,
Okay.
you can never eat enough broccoli. I
Wow,
don't
you
think.
guys can't smell this, but this smells amazing.
All right, now we're really going to make it smell good.
Got it.
Okay. So now
I'm going to stand back a little
we're
bit.
going to use my No Kid Go Hungry whisk, which I
Oh, nice charity
near
there.
and dear to my heart.
Sure.
My dad wrote the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Act, which allows
Oh, wow.
people to give food in good faith. And they pair with No Kid Goes Hungry.
That's great.
And
It's
it's
a great cause.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
All right, so then we're going to let this kind of
And
hang
when you
out for a
serve-
couple minutes.
Oh, and then you got this. Okay. And the orange juice, like a citrusy aspect to it.
Yeah, and it makes it a little sweet and a little citrusy.
Oh, my
now,
God.
truth be told, I should have added that when I was mixing.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah, it's okay.
it doesn't matter. I forgot it.
Wow.
And then we're just going to let that mix together for about another 2 minutes. And then we'll taste.
Now, when you serve this, do you serve it over rice
Well,
or?
you could serve it certainly
Okay.
over rice, lo mein.
Yeah, the noodles are now
Noodles.
popular, the different kind of Japanese noodles.
You could do it over a beautiful bed of spinach.
Oh, lovely.
And then put tomatoes around it and a little feta cheese on the
Okay.
side. You know, you can do all kinds. I don't usually put cheese with seafood because of my Italian friends.
Right, right.
But I would definitely say noodles, beautiful saffron rice would be
Okay.
great. Anytime you cook rice, it's so easy. It's 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. Throw some turmeric in there.
Okay.
It's so good for
Good,
you.
good.
And it makes it a beautiful yellow.
Okay.
And that's really gorgeous for this.
Great. Now, can you, if you give me the recipe, I can post it on my website, barebonesyoga.com.
Yes,
And then people
I
can
think
refer to it there.
I sent that.
Great.
Yeah, and then
Perfect.
yeah, and then we can. This is some of the things we do in class.
That's great.
I teach 5 easy weeknight dinners.
And so you do things in your house?
I do
you
things
go
in
to
my
people's
house. I go to other people's houses. Girlfriends really like parties.
Oh, what a great idea. Yeah, for
Yeah.
a get-together with friends.
Birthday parties. Yeah.
All right, so let's see. We've got a minute or 2 left here. Let's see
And we also do cook with, you know, speaking of wellness, I work with a lot of patients who do have some constraints with their diet or heart constraints or
Sure.
sugar. So we have a lot of recipes that also are just plain healthy for everybody, but have high flavor, and you get that flavor with a lot of spices.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So add a little more salt. And
Yep.
then would you like to taste?
Sure, absolutely.
I think the one thing I forgot was a fork.
Oh, that's all right.
So
you know what? I'm
what
just
we'll
gonna
do-
yeah, just
yeah.
put it right in there. And you know what? I'm going to just use my fingers. Let me turn this guy off here. Okay, excellent.
Yep, turn
I
him
definitely
off.
want to taste the sauce a little bit just to kind of get a sense of.
Yeah, and you can drag it through.
Oh my God, that is delicious.
You like it?
Really, really, really good. I'm definitely going to make this tonight.
Okay, good.
Because I don't have anything in the house, so on the way home I'll stop and pick up the ingredients. Well, thank you so much for
You're
coming.
welcome. Thank you for
this
having
was
me.
great, and it has a little kick to it too.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
So you can modify that.
Yes. So tell them your website again.
Okay, so it's www.cookingwithabby.com. It will be live next week.
Good. Excellent.
But also my email is cookingwithabbygray, Abby with a Y, Gray with an A, @gmail.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you all so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more information about our next show. And between now and our next show, live well.